From Off-Grid Desert Farming with Paul and Adrian. Hope you guys are doing okay. This is December the 29th, 2021, and we do have some breaking news. Sorry we're coming on so late, but I wanted to some breaking news. I wanted to get this information out. It seems like that President Putin has requested an emergency phone call with Joe Biden. This was not scheduled. So let me read you a little bit of information about this. I got several articles that's going to cover this. So this is not normal, but we are in a not normal situation. If you have been following our channel for any length of time, we have been covering the Russian-Ukraine situation pretty much every day, trying to bring you up to date. What has happened in the last week is that the United States and Russia has agreed to negotiate starting on January the 10th. This negotiation will start covering the Ukraine situation and then move to NATO on January the 12th. Now, what has happened in between these dates is that there has been a war of words between NATO and the Russian side, the Russian foreign minister, the Russian spokespeople that relay the information from Putin that there will be no discussions in the diplomatic talks, that the United States and NATO will either agree to Russia's demands or basically else. And these threats are coming from Russia, and I will read you those threats here in a minute. But so in the meantime, just in the last 24 hours, this phone call was not scheduled. It was requested by President Putin, and Joe Biden agreed to it. So they're going to be talking tomorrow, sometime probably in the afternoon, or maybe in the morning. I'm not sure. Russia, I think, is an 8-hour difference. So let me go ahead and read you. This is from CNN, but we're going to cover different articles telling you about this phone call. Biden to speak with Putin on Thursday at Russia's leader's request. So this information just came out today. President Joe Biden will hold a call with the Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday afternoon to discuss a range of topics, including the upcoming diplomatic engagements with Russia. National Security spokesperson Emily Horn told CNN the call was requested by Putin, according to an administration official, and Biden accepted because he believes when it comes to Russia, there's no substitute for direct leader-to-leader dialogue. Horn added that the Biden administration continues to engage in extensive diplomacy with our European allies and partners, consulting and coordinating on a common approach in response to Russia's military buildup on the border with Ukraine. President Biden has spoken with leaders across Europe, and Biden's administration officials have engaged multilaterally with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that is NATO, and the European Union, and the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. They have also held numerous consultations with counterparts, including those from the Eastern Flank countries bilaterally and in the Bucharest 9 format, as well as Ukraine. The Bucharest 9 is a reference to 9 European nations that form the eastern edge of NATO: Poland, Romania, the Czech Republic, Estonia, Hungary, Bulgaria, Latvia, Lithuania, and Slovakia. So this is what they're going to talk about. Biden plans to preview the upcoming bilateral talks between the U.S. and Russia to set place on January the 10th, the official said, and will also discuss the NATO, Russia, and Organization of Security and Cooperation in Europe meetings slated for January 12th and the 13th. Close consultations with U.S. allies and partners have been a priority for the administration from the get-go, the official said, and the Biden will underscore that to Putin as well. So I'm going to give you my take on this, folks. You know, this is just my opinion. In the last couple of weeks, there has been a major war of words between NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, the United States, the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, and U.S. officials about the so-called Russia aggression on the Ukraine border. Now, I don't think Putin would have made or requested this phone call unless there has something else that has come up in the last 12 hours. Everything was set to start next month, but Jens Stoltenberg, the head of NATO, has said over and over again to Russia that their answer is basically no. So from my point of view, I don't think there's any need for any kind of diplomacy or discussion, because I think both parties, the United States and Russia, know that nothing's going to happen. It's pretty much going to be dead in the water before it even starts. Now, that's just my opinion. Now, there could be a miracle. There could be some kind of diplomatic miracle, some kind of breakthrough that the United States would accept all of Russia's demands. But that's like, me winning the lottery or the Powerball, or me becoming president of the United States. That those odds are very, very bleak that would happen. So I think that Putin wants to know for sure whether they should go ahead with this meeting or not. Will it be a waste of time for Russia? I really think it will be, because let me read you some of the current headlines coming in about this meeting. This is from DEFCON 3 website. They are a private U.S. intelligence gathering information organization. So let me read you a little bit about their headlines here. The U.S. Embassy in Kiev, Ukraine, is making emergency evacuation preparations. Now, this information has just come in on Twitter that evidently, I think we're going to find out whether there's going to be an invasion or not, probably maybe by the end of tomorrow night. Because something has happened in the interim, something, I guess, dramatic that only a few people know about in the military circles, in the diplomatic circles. Because the embassy, they're making emergency preparations, evacuation preparations, and they would not be doing this unless they think that Russia is going to invade in very, very soon. So let me go ahead and take you to Twitter. This is the Twitter right here. U.S. Embassy in Kiev making emergency preparations in case it needs to evacuate non-emergency personnel or diplomatic families. This is coming in from ABC News. So ABC News did this at 5:08 p.m. That was, let's see, that was about 5 or 6 hours ago. But I'm reporting it now. So let me read you some more headlines. This is from the DEFCON 3 site, December 29th. The U.S. and Russia are set to hold security talks on January the 10th. Each will address concerns each other has about the other's military activity and address tensions over Ukraine. So that was basically the last information we had on this site. But let me read you what the Russians are telling everybody. This is from RT Television. RT Television is Russian television, and this is funded directly by the Russian government. So this is one of Russia's mouthpieces. This is one of their information wings that they get their information out. And this was dated actually yesterday, the 28th. There will be no more NATO expansion in Russia. Now, this is what the diplomatic corps in Russia are saying. In diplomatic meetings next year, Russian officials will urge Washington to halt the bloc's expansion. And I don't know what happened to my article. I think I just eliminated it. Hold on, folks. Stuff like this happens when you're going live. All right, here we go. We got it back. For some reason, I deleted the article. At upcoming talks with Washington, Moscow will not only obstruct, but will put a complete stop to any eastward expansion of the U.S.-led NATO military bloc, the Russian deputy foreign minister said on Tuesday. That was yesterday. So they're coming right out and saying it, folks. They're telling you what Russia's side is going to do. Moscow will not only obstruct, but will put a complete stop to any eastward expansion of the U.S.-led NATO military bloc, the Russian Deputy Foreign Minister said on Tuesday. Speaking to the news agency Interfax, Sergei Ryabkov said his country would go into the negotiations with a clear agenda and reject any attempts by the U.S. diplomats to dilute the proposed agreements between the two parties. Our leadership has repeatedly said that we can no longer tolerate the situation that is developing in the immediate vicinity of our borders. We cannot tolerate NATO's expansion. We will not just prevent it, we will put a stop to it, Ryabkov said. Now, folks, in any language, those are fighting words. I don't care what country you're from, I don't care what nationality you're from, but in any language, Russia is saying that whether the United States and NATO agrees to their terms or not, doesn't matter, because either way, they're going to stop the United States and NATO's expansion on their borders. So basically, this is pretty much a declaration of war by Russia, according to what this diplomat just said. The talks, due to be held on January 10th, will focus on two publicly released draft treaties that include a list of promises Russia wants to obtain from the United States and NATO, as well as pledges that the bloc won't expand eastward. The proposals also include the end of Western cooperation with post-Soviet countries, the removal of U.S. nuclear weapons from Europe, and the withdrawal of NATO troops and missiles away from the Russian border. However, according to Ryabkov, the U.S. wants to ignore Russia's firm demands, instead proposing a less structured form of negotiations. We should not come up with some kind of a dimensionless agenda when it is our interest to include topics that have long been sorted out through other channels. We will have to focus exclusively on the two draft documents that we have presented. So, folks, this is the latest breaking news. According to this article from RT Television, and according to Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister, Sergei Ryabkov, their country, Russia, will not just prevent NATO's expansion, they're going to put a stop to it. So this is not propaganda. I mean, this is not something I'm making up. This is coming directly from RT Television, from their diplomatic corps. So I do think that this coincides with the phone call that President Putin has requested of Joe Biden tomorrow. I guess he wants to ask Biden, are you going to give in to our demands or not? And if Joe Biden says no, then I think we're going to have a war very, very soon. And I do think that NATO will be involved. So let me read you a little bit more. We have a few more articles here. Russia's new S-550 air defense systems is rolled out. So this is Russia's latest anti-missile defense system. Now, one of these missiles a couple of weeks ago shot down one of their own satellites in a test. These missiles that Russia has, the S-500, are able to shoot satellites out of space, folks. And basically, Russia has warned that if a war starts between NATO and Russia, that they are going to shoot down all 32 of NATO's GPS satellites that we use for our military. And this probably is one of the systems that they're going to do it with, the S-550 air defense system, their latest missile defense system. The unparalleled S-550 missile defense system is apparently in operation. Russia's new 550 air defense system, said to be capable of hitting high-altitude spacecraft and missiles, including hypersonic types, have passed trials and is already in service, TASS has reported. The Moscow news agency quoted a source which said it is close to the defense ministry, who described the S-550 as an absolutely new mobile strategic missile defense system which is unparalleled anywhere in the world and capable of striking spacecraft, warheads, of intercontinental ballistic missiles and hypersonic targets. And I just eliminated the article again. Boy, I'm getting good tonight. Hold on. Let me get it back. I don't know why I keep doing that. So let's go on down here. The S-550 air defense system has successfully completed state trials. Its first brigade has already been placed on combat duty. So they've already placed one brigade on combat duty. So this is just some breaking news coming in. Hal Turner has basically had the same article today. Russia, we will put a complete stop to NATO's eastward expansion. So a lot of people are covering this. I was going to wait till tomorrow, but I thought I'd go ahead and give you the news tonight. At upcoming talks with Washington, Moscow will not only obstruct, but will put a complete stop to any eastward expansion of the U.S.-led NATO military bloc, the Russian Deputy Foreign Minister said on Tuesday. So I just read you pretty much most of that article, but I will leave all these links in the description box. Let me see if I have anything else for you guys. Now, this is coming in from Sputnik News. Sputnik News. You know, it's really hard to get any information from the American news media on what is really going on. So that's why I use all these foreign news sources to try to get you the breaking news coming out of Europe and from a different perspective. I'm basically giving you the news coming straight out of Russia. Blinken, United States to consult closely with Ukraine, NATO on diplomatic engagements with Russia. This was 12 hours ago, and this is Secretary of State Blinken. The United States will remain in close contact with Ukraine and the NATO allies on diplomatic engagements with Russia. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said after a phone call with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky on Wednesday, the United States will remain in close contact with Ukraine and NATO allies on diplomatic engagements with Russia. The U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said after a phone call with the Ukrainian president on Wednesday, we reiterated full support for Ukraine in my call with the president. Blinken said on Twitter, we will continue to consult closely with Ukraine, NATO allies, and our partners in diplomatic efforts to deter Russia aggression. So, like I said, I will leave all these links in the description box. We're not going to be on too long tonight. I just wanted to give you the breaking news. This is also from Zero Hedge. A lot of people, like I said, are covering this. Putin and Biden to hold urgent Thursday call over the Ukrainian crisis. Now, this is urgent, folks, because we could be in basically World War III in the coming days or weeks. I think this is the worst situation that we have had with Russia since the 1962 missile crisis. I think that this could escalate very quickly out of control unless a diplomatic solution is worked out, and I don't think that's going to happen. President Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin are expected to hold an urgent call on Thursday, expected for evening Russia time, which marks the second such call in less than a month amid ratcheting Ukraine tensions, with the Kremlin accused of amassing some 100,000 troops near the border. During the earlier December phone call, Biden warned Putin of severe consequences for any incursion into eastern Ukraine, but now things may have cooled slightly given the U.S. and Russia are expected to hold January 10th meeting to discuss Russia's security proposals to halt NATO's eastward expansion. So that diplomatic meeting might not even take place, folks. If this phone call tomorrow does not work out very good, they could cancel the whole talks on January the 10th. So I think actually this phone call tomorrow is more important than the talks next week, because I guess both sides wants to find out beforehand what's going to take place at the meetings, because basically the buck stops at President Putin and the buck stops with Joe Biden or his administration. So this is very important. This is an emergency situation developing. My opinion is I don't think they're going to work out a diplomatic solution, because both sides have their heels dug in. Nobody wants to give in to the other's demands. Russia now has spent all that money. They have anywhere from 150 to maybe 250,000 soldiers or more within 400 miles of Ukraine. They have moved at least 70% of their military hardware very close to Ukraine, so they could basically invade at any time. Also coming in, United States is putting out an emergency preparations, making emergency preparations in case it needs to evacuate non-emergency personnel or diplomatic families out of Ukraine in a hurry. So things are still escalating. We'll try to report on this tomorrow, right after the phone call. So please just keep your family in your prayers. Keep prepping. It's never too late to prep, folks. It's never too late to get things ready for an emergency situation. So this is the latest breaking news that we have. We're not going to be on too much longer. I just wanted to bring you this latest news that things doesn't look that good, folks, and I don't know if they're going to get any better. I mean, just look at the statement by Sergei Ravanov. I mean, how more blatant can you get? Okay? This is what Ravanov said. Speaking to a news agency, Interfax, Sergei Ravanov said his country would go into the negotiations with a clear agenda and reject any attempts by U.S. diplomats to dilute the proposed agreement between the two parties. Our leadership has repeatedly said we can no longer tolerate the situation that is developing in the immediate vicinity of our borders. We cannot tolerate NATO expansion. We will not just prevent it, we will put a stop to it. So basically what that is saying is we're going to take matters into our own hands. We've given you every opportunity over the last 20 or 30 years to work out a diplomatic solution for both our countries, for the security of the European countries, Russia and NATO, and you have turned them down. So we have no choice now but to take matters in our own hands and invade and push you back. Basically, that's what Russia is saying to the United States, to NATO, that we're tired. We've given you your last chance. You turned it down. So there's nothing left but force, military force. So this is the latest breaking news. I just wanted to bring this to you, folks. Jesus Christ is coming back. We are on the verge, I do believe, of a world-changing event. Klaus Schwab of the Great Economic Forum, he wrote the book, The Great Reset. Klaus Schwab, the globalists have been planning a great reset for 50 years, folks, to create order out of chaos. They have to create the chaos, and then they can institute their new world order, their new agenda, build back better. So I think this is just in their plans to create a war so they can recreate the world and put their new world order into power. So God bless you. Remember, Jesus Christ loves you. He's coming back. Folks, don't be caught dead without him. Time is growing short. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.